I think a lot of us have this problem where we're just plugged in so much that we almost forget the sound of our own vocal cords. And sometimes our vocal cords could sound like, and other times it could sound like, and other times it could sound like, and in those moments it can be really challenging to remember our talents, our skills, because we're over here just consuming and consuming and consuming on repeat, on a cycle. We wake up, we consume, we fall asleep, maybe we're even listening to things, and then we forget that our own voice is like our story, our soundtrack, our however you want to describe it. So if I'm walking down the street and this experience that I'm having is my video game, my movie, I'm the director of it, this is my life, and this is what I get to take with me whenever I decide to go into a new life or a new story or a new chapter, then it can be really difficult to be in those situations of unplugging and being like, oh wait, this is my story. I get to choose what I hear. I get to choose what I actually listen to. I get to choose the thoughts that I think. I get to choose where I put my focus on, what I see, what I speak, what I receive back, what loops back to me, what I put out and it loops back and it loops back. And in those moments, it can be really easy to just be like, I'm gonna listen to what I want to like reprogram my brain. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it's also this scapegoat of basically putting the blame onto something else and be like, fix my problem, when really sometimes we just need to sit with ourselves in the silence, let it all come to us, and keep programming this manually until we hit that frequency where you just are in that kind of like a void state where there's like no thoughts, there's nothing, you're just there. It's like you're being. And in those states, it's like you start coming more into the now moment. You're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future, you're not thinking about anything. And then you start realizing how minute one decision ripples out. The decision to do this, the decision to do that, the decision to take off headphones and record this video. It wouldn't have existed prior. It would have just been maybe a thought. Maybe somebody else would have downloaded it and made a video on it. Who knows? Anyways, so now that I've done that, let me go ahead and share with you my artwork. So now that I've shared you my vocal talents. And we're gonna start with one of the canvases. So this is one of the canvases that I've worked on recently. And you've got some paint in here, paint, some marker, and then ballpoint pen. And this is channeled through a technique I call Viking drum drawing, which I take a pen in each hand and I drum the paper. I do have a video showing the full process of creation, but basically it creates these optical illusions of people and landscapes, and it has typically at least 4 perspectives of rotating around it. And there'll probably be a full video at some point of doing this, but I just enjoy animating and creating other things so much that for me this is like a side hobby of dealing with stress and stuff. Here we have the IW Comics universe. It's very cartoony, very simple. This is where I have to channel all the stress and the flow states and everything into here, and then I get access to the flow state. Otherwise, it's a little bit more challenging and noisy to directly go into that state for myself. And the more that I zoom into this, the more I could just go like even add like way more detail into it. For example, like you can see the detail in here. I am typically able to get even more detail into this, and really it just depends on like the pen size of how detailed the pen is. And I do have a lot more artwork beyond this that I haven't shared. Now, I would share with you that artwork now, but I feel like I would not do it justice, and it would be like quickly zooming over it and just speeding through the whole collection. And I think it's a better idea to actually show each individual in its own trophy showcase, so to speak, instead of hiding it away and maybe opening it and showing myself here and there and being like, wow, I really did that. And sometimes it's really easy for myself, for example, to create all these massively beautiful artworks, and then I end up not sharing it because I enjoy it so much and I just stare at it for like an hour or 2 hours and just like enjoying the moment. And then I put it in my book, in my whatever you want to call it. And then I pull it out later and look at it, and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. I can't believe I made this. And then I like put it back. You know what I mean? When you like take a book off the shelf, you read it, you put it back, you put like over and over again, and you like forget about it. And then you're like, whoa. So that's something that I kind of enjoy doing that because it just raises my conscious level of thinking and perception. And then I enjoy the animation of the storytelling, the details, and really getting into it and like learning other skills and stuff. And I realized that, sometimes through the process of creating artwork, I start saying too much, which creates that chaos. And then the calm is cutting it down to 2 words, simplifying the paragraph. What can you do with less? Because less is more at the end of the day. Think about it. If you wanted to ride a horse and you have 100 horses, it's a lot of horses to take care of. For example, it's kind of a weird one, but there's a lot of things you could do with 100 horses, though, if you're thinking in another term of state of being. But anyways, I'll let you get back to your day and remember to create more than you consume.